The centre is deploying more central armed police forces in Manipur. Altogether, 288 companies of troops will be deployed in Manipur, said Security Advisor Kuldeep Singh. Commenting on the matter, senior journalist and author Pradeep Kumar Pannajoba said the move may be part of the centre's efforts to calm the situation in the state. Panjobam said in a conflict, one cannot disarm only one side. Both sides have to be equally treated. He was referring to the needs for disarming both Kuki and Meitei sides. He, however, cautioned that so many times people predicted different things and unfolded completely different stories.
Sir, you being someone who is associated with law enforcing agencies, sir, there is a report by the Ministry of Home Affairs that additional 70 more company of Central Paramilitary Forces will be sent to Manipur. Sir, do you feel that in the present condition, there is a requirement for more central forces in Manipur, sir?
It depends on how the forces are being used. It is not so much the number or the quantity, but the qualitative use of the forces that's coming in. We are not very sure as to the purpose of the additional deployment. Where are they going to be deployed? Is there a strategic plan how to use these additional forces? That is very, very unclear in our mind. Where are these forces going to be deployed? As we speak, I see them scattered all over the town. The trucks and the vehicles moving left and right. But we do not see a very coherent, consistent strategy as to how this violence is going to be contained. And I hope the state government will make use of this additional force where the forces can be optimally utilized and targeted at containing the violence as we see.
So lastly, any comments on the reimposition of AFSPA in 6 more police stations?
Again, AFSPA is a mechanism. And again, it will depend on the intent and the will and the political will for the imposition of the AFSPA. There was AFSPA in several police districts before this imposition, and yet the violence continued. If there is a proper laid out policy and program as to how violence will be contained, this could have been done even without AFSPA. So the imposition of AFSPA does not, to me, make any meaning at this point in time. We'll have to wait and see how these mechanisms as well as the additional forces are used to bring in, to contain the violence as we see.
Retired policeman Projem Tangjam says it depends on how the troops are being used. It is not so much the numbers but the qualitative use of the troops that is an important issue. He said that the troops are at the moment scattered all over. He suggested lack of strategy to contain the violence in the state.
Really required enormous amount of security. What is your assessment of the situation?
No, my assessment is no, not required. We are already, before the sending of this, before 50, the 220 had come, and after that now 50. Before these companies came, the state is already oversaturated with the security forces. And it is a question of how to utilize them, how to deploy them, how to use them. It is listen with the central government. It should be done. With that, there is sufficient force which can take care of the situation. I don't know why these things again and again. Maybe that recently the houses of the ruling parties, MLAs, ministers have been attacked. Maybe to provide protection to that it may be. But otherwise, I don't see the requirement. As I said, I would like to quote that when Mubal entry to Manipur was stopped, it was only the Manipur police which stopped and the manning about 5 entry points. And at the time, no security force, outside force was required. So if Manipur police could do it, we don't want to. It is meager force. I don't see why already saturated, oversaturated. I will say not saturated, oversaturated force cannot take care of the situation. It is, as I said, it's a question of intelligently and tactically utilizing with in a proactive manner with advanced, anticipation, etc. We are talking about this state government has said that they do not have the intelligence. Now this is almost, I don't want to comment on that. Manipur is such a small state. You know where the Kukis are there, where the Meiteis are there. So it is just only a matter, a little bit of common sense, a little bit of exercise of your brain. I mean, with that, whatever intelligence required cannot be easily be can easily be drawn up, and the proactive and anticipatory action can be taken.
Now there is a report by the Home Affairs saying that additional 70 more companies, which amount to altogether to 88 companies of Central Paramilitary Forces, will be sent to Manipur. Do you feel at this hour, there is a need for more additional forces in Manipur?
It's difficult to guess what the center has in plan, but from the appearance, it does seem there is a plan for clamp down on the trouble here. And if that is to happen, it will have to happen on both sides. You can't disarm one side. In a conflict, you can't disarm only one side. You'll have to disarm both sides. And that probably that's what is being planned. But we still have to wait and see how it unfolds. Because so many times we guessed different things, but it never unfolded the way we wanted. For instance, the arrival of troops have been happening for a long time, and we thought there was going to be some action. But these, as we have seen, were merely placed in the buffer zones and with no action. I'm not saying that the buffer zones are not necessary. The buffer zones are necessary. The end to immediate violence is necessary. But alongside that, there has to be a parallel kind of movement to solve the problem. You know, on one side, you're dealing with the symptoms. The symptoms are the violence outbreak, but you have to also look at the actual disease for there to be a lasting solution. Treating basically the symptoms only, which is why the problem has not gone. You have to deal at the root causes of these problems also, because the root causes are not gone, and those have to be settled. And I have spoken about this so many times that in international conflict studies, there is something called a frozen conflict. You just think that there is a solution, there's peace by the absence of violence. And this we have witnessed in Israel, for instance. Palestinians and the Israelis, they fight. And then when the fighting ends, we think problem is solved. Peace has returned. But because of conflict, the root causes of that conflict has not been settled. It keeps flaring up again and again. The problem is we have had this kind of approach to problem solving for a long time. For instance, in the Nagakuki violence, there was never any solution. It just ended because people are tired. And it can flare up again, as we're witnessing again now, the demand for rollback of districts. Those are the sparks that can again flare up that old problem. And this Meitei and Kuki conflict can also end that way, which is not desirable. I mean, it should end, but as it ends, we also have to be looking for the long-term kind of solution where where you identify the actual disease which has caused this present flare-up and treat those diseases well.